Hey, Clutterbugs, welcome back to the Clutterbug podcast. I'm a little bit geeked about today's podcast guest. I just gotta say, okay, we have Alexandra Gator, and let me just say, I'm a huge fan of her YouTube channel. If you have not watched her YouTube channel, I need you to subscribe immediately because not only is Alexandra a home decor YouTuber, she's an author, she's a former magazine editor who's connected with millions of people through her home makeover series. But she's really showing people how to design a space and that everyone deserves to live in a beautiful space that feels like home no matter their budget. Welcome, Alexandra.
Thanks, Cass. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm pretty excited. I'm going to tell you the truth. I had not heard of you until recently, and then I'm like, where have you been all my life?
Aw.
Seriously, you're like 4 hours from me. You're Canadian. You were on HGTV. You were the host of Buy or DIY.
Yeah.
What the heck, man? You look like a baby. How have you done all these amazing things?
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, a lot has happened in the last 5 years, for sure. When I think about it, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I should take a nap. Like soon.
Take a nap.
Yeah.
So, tell me how you got started. I mean, I kind of know how you got started as the editor of Chatelaine, which is
hmm
an incredible magazine.
hmm
But if you could share with my listeners kind of your story of how you went, you're so young, and how you went to like this incredible career so
Yeah.
quickly.
I would love to share more about that. So I went to school for journalism here in Toronto. I always kind of I always kind of knew that I wanted to do something impactful. I didn't really know what that looked like or what that meant, but I had to do an internship in my last year and I kind of fell into women's publishing, specifically Chatelaine. And at the time, I was like, I really want to do something a little more creative. Like, I was really into photography and I thought maybe I wanted to go into like fashion content or something. And when I got to Chatelaine, I was like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love doing this. This really pulls together all the things that I love to do. And I ended up getting hired full time there quite quickly. It was kind of one of those, like, I was there at the right time, and they were really shifting into this like new digital space. And long story short, kind of took over the home section when the editor of the home section left. I was really young. I was 25 at the time. I really had no idea what I was doing. And it was just one of those things where, like, I'm not sure if that exact sequence of events would happen now necessarily. It was truly like right place, right time. And I really like seized the opportunity and took advantage of really making the job my own. And at the time, I was watching a lot of YouTube content. I loved like shorter form content, longer form content on YouTube, and watching all of these amazing women do incredible things in the publishing space. Like Lucy Fink, I don't know if you have heard of her, but she was at Refinery 29 and she was creating this like amazing short YouTube series. Anyways, I pitched a series all about home decor and I produced and shot like 20 episodes with our little team at Chatelaine. And there was a ton of money being funneled into the video department. So everyone was kind of like, yeah, like do whatever you want to do, try things out. And we produced 20 episodes. It was called the Home Primp over the span of a year. And the second last episode went viral. It was a studio apartment makeover. And it had like 1 million views and the views were climbing and climbing. And I got let go along with 90,
Stop.
yeah, along with 90 other people at Chatelaine and like within the whole, like all the different publications. And I was devastated to say the least.
Yeah, no, that's a blow because you're doing like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's I'm hearing like maybe this was almost like a fake it till you make it thing.
Oh,
25, 25.
100%.
I didn't know what I was doing or what I was, where, if I was coming or going. And you're
Yeah.
like the editor of a magazine.
Yeah.
Like,
It
what?
was definitely fake it till you make it. There was a lot of like pushback within the overall like home, like interior design community. Not necessarily directed specifically at me, but I definitely felt like, oh gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I've always been like really hardworking. I've always just like loved to be creative and put myself out there and like just try. Like get, just I've always just like been
Mm.
really good at giving it a go. And working towards something has always been like it's just like part of who I am. So I guess in that sense, I was just able to handle, I guess, all the feelings that came with being 25 and doing this job.
Yeah,
Um,
you're brave. That's what it is. Let's be honest, you're brave. So you're
Thanks.
not afraid of failing and you're jumping in and you're figuring it out as you go. And
Yeah.
that's so admirable.
Thank you. Thanks. But at the time I got let go, I didn't really feel brave because I was like, well, I don't have this video team that's going to be able to shoot these videos. People were like starting to follow me on Instagram and like request spaces. Like all the videos were starting to pick up a lot of traction on the Chatelaine YouTube channel, which basically no longer existed because we were all let go. So I just kind of started shooting my own content. Like I didn't really know what else to do. And I also really understood that there was like momentum happening and I kind of had to ride the
Mm.
wave. So I started my own channel
Without the
and
budget, without
I
the
used my
film
severance
crew.
money. I was like working part-time, writing articles for like different magazines. And then I had an interview at a pretty big Canadian like interior design magazine. They called me in for an interview. And I remember it was like not until I was sitting across from the person interviewing me that I realized, oh, actually, like I don't want a job within a
Mm.
corporation. I don't want to work for someone else. And it kind of was that subconsciously I had kind of made the decision when I walked out of that interview, like I want to do this by myself and just start my own thing. So yeah, I kind of chipped away at it for 2 full years and was like, kind of scraping by and almost gave up a billion times. And then I finally feel like I'm settled into a groove now. I have 9 employees, which is wild. And yeah, and we're really like, we're in a space where things feel good and not as challenging as they were when I started.
Okay, because I'm just gonna say this. Okay, your YouTube channel's effing insane. It's insane because your makeovers that you do are like HGTV level
They
quality,
are,
and
yeah.
you can tell in the production value, you can
Yeah.
tell like let's not even go there. You give away complete makeovers
Yeah.
to
For
your
free.
viewers, like you give away
Yeah.
for free.
Yes.
And I'm over here, okay, doing like a little organizing makeover with me and Emily, and we shoot it ourselves and edit ourselves, and
Yeah.
I donate everything. It is so much work.
Yes.
It is so expensive. It
Yes.
is, and you're doing this on a scale 20 million times bigger than I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
how?
Yeah. I'm so proud. Like, it gives, like, thank you for saying all those nice things. And I finally reached a place where I'm like, I'm so proud of our team. Cause it's not just me. Like, I'm not saying thank you. I know just, I'm not like complimenting myself. I'm complimenting the whole team because it's really a group effort. How am I doing it? Like, do you like specifics or
No,
just,
I just mean how, like, I know from my perspective, like, so I'm planning my YouTube video every
yeah.
week. And if I'm doing a makeover, you have to meet with them. You have to see the space. You have to
Yep.
measure the space. You have to come up with ideas. You have to come up with products.
Yeah.
You have to coordinate shoot dates.
Yes.
You have to buy everything and have it ready. So you're in there. And maybe,
Yes.
like, I have one day for decluttering and then one day for putting it together. And the
Hmm.
logistics just
Hmm.
about kills me. So I do them very infrequently. And not
Hmm.
to mention, I don't really make money off those videos because they are very expensive. And you are doing this while managing a team and doing that scheduling, and you're still the creative person at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just, how is your brain not mush?
Yeah.
How are
Well,
you doing the logistics? Are you an organized person?
no.
What is your
I'm not.
secret?
No, so I think my secret is honestly, early on, I knew that if I wanted to keep doing these makeovers, there was a time where I was doing them by myself. My partner at the time was helping me. I was shooting on weekends. Like the makeovers weren't great. Like don't go back and look at 2018 AG videos. Like please don't. And I always knew like if I wanted to do this and take it to a bigger scale, I was going to have to hire a team of people. And
Mm.
that's really my secret is like delegating things and I'm so proud of the team that I've built because everyone is just is so incredibly talented, and we really run the whole production like you would a TV show. The COO of my company actually came from a TV background. She's worked on Big Brother and Top Chef, and so she understands how to run like a day. And we have call sheets, we have like everything broken down into time slots. We're a well-oiled machine, and there's
Mhm.
so many people involved and so many steps involved to that like finished half an hour YouTube video you see. So we go to scout the space, we measure the space, I have a call with the makeover recipient, we go through a whole like brainstorm and planning session. And a lot of our makeover, well, all of our makeovers take at least 3 months, like start to finish. And so
Oh my.
we're usually working on like three spaces at a time. So I guess like, yeah, I
Are
guess
you
my,
listen, I now I wanna get in the weeds. My listeners at
yeah.
home are like, "Cass, but listen, okay, are you getting everything donated? Like, all the
Hmm.
supplies and products? This is so much work."
Yeah. So one thing that I worked really hard when I was at Chatelaine working in publishing, it was normal to like we call it call things in. So it was normal to call a product in from a brand to photograph it for the magazine. So I would create these I was creating these connections with these like retailers and the PR people within those companies, and they would say, "Yeah, like we'll send you this pillow so you can shoot it. We'd love to be in Chatelaine. You can keep the pillow." And that's kind of the charm of working in publishing, right? Like people go on
Mhm.
press trips, they get things sent to them. It's fun. And when I got let go, that was the biggest thing of like, wait a second, how am I actually going to get these companies to send me product if my channel has 200 subscribers and I don't have this huge brand to back me? So it took a while. Like, there was at the beginning, I was asking the makeover recipient to pay for a portion of the product and like my service. And I've just built it up to a point where brands want to be featured in the makeovers because we're linking
Mhm.
all the items, we're doing short form content on social media. And so these brands are getting lots of exposure. And yeah, we have like so many amazing brands that we have amazing relationships with, but it's taken a lot of time to build those relationships and get to a point where we're like, yeah, you should want to be in our videos because it's great exposure. Yeah, I
And
hope that answers
okay,
your
so you're
question.
saying this, and I know people listening at home are thinking, "Wow, she gets the stuff for free and it's all they just send it." I know from a YouTuber, like the behind the scenes, the logistics of working with brands and
Yeah.
having things shipped and wanting to make sure you're mentioning what they want to talk about
Hmm.
in that video and that you're not having competing products within that video,
Yeah.
and the logistics on getting it. Do they want to see approval before? Do they have tweaks
Yeah.
and changes and all of this? And you're doing this on a scale like television show scale.
Yeah.
i'm I'm so impressed. So
Thank
I
you.
was the host of an HGTV show,
I
as
know,
were
yeah.
you, for 2 years, and those episodes that they put together were like $250,000 that you have to spend up front,
Mhm.
but you know that they're being bought by the, you know, like you're making this product, but HGTV is purchasing it from the production company. So at the
Right.
end of the day, there's that safety net. You don't have that safety net. If you produce a video and it flops on its face,
Mhm.
you're left holding the bag and
Yeah.
still having to pay your employees and
Yeah.
still having to pay your business costs. You are brave, man. You have gonads. Like, I am in awe of you, because
Thanks.
that's, this is a tough industry and you are nailing it.
Thanks. I think the secret, not even a secret, but the thing that I've learned along the way is to just like ask for what you want, and also to lay out the ground rules. Like, we are producing a TV show, so we can't be looking over 50 contracts from 50 different brands at the same time. That would be actually impossible. So we have like a email that we send out that's very clear, very concise. And at the end of the day, like, the gifted products are just an exchange for like publicity. And I think
Mhm.
a lot of creators don't realize that they can just like reach out to brands and ask. And it's taken me a really long time to realize the value that I'm bringing to those brands with just even like a 10-second mention in my video, or a link in the description box, or shouting them out on social. We also try to work with like a lot of Etsy sellers or smaller businesses to help like them with that exposure. And a lot of the time those smaller brands will be like, "Oh, I'm so excited. Of course I want to be a part of this YouTube show." But it's definitely, like I said, been a long kind of slow burn, and I feel like it's only really been in the last year where I'm so incredibly proud of the content we've created because we've worked at that process for like literally years. So it is manageable and we can do it with a really small team. Yeah.
Okay, so my listeners at home are listening to this and they're probably thinking, wow, she's amazing, which you are.
Mhm.
But also, I want to talk about the motivation, the drive, the time management, the skills that are behind your
Mhm.
success and your talent. Because a lot of us listening at home, I was this stuck in this thing. It was all I can do to get up and shower and clean my house on a
Yeah.
daily basis, you know? And you
Yeah.
are like, you're not settling for a mediocre life. You're not
Mhm.
settling for a 9 to 5 and a job that you're not passionate about. You're like, I
Mhm.
don't want to work for somebody else, even though I love it. You want it all,
Mhm.
Alexandra.
I do,
And you're
yeah.
gonna, yeah. And you're like, and guess what? I'm gonna make it happen.
But I think
And
there
I have
hasn't I
goosebumps.
do
Listen.
too. You're being thank you for all your kind words. I but it my drive hasn't come without a lot of trials and tribulations. I think so. I have suffered from anxiety, like a anxiety disorder. I actually don't know if I've ever said this aloud, but I have a panic disorder as well. So there was a time when I was at Chatelaine where like I actually couldn't leave my house. Like I couldn't. The thought of going out, I can't really explain it because it just sounds bizarre. But anyone who suffered from panic attacks maybe will understand. Like I couldn't leave my house to walk to the subway. Like getting from point A to point B was really difficult for me. And I don't know if you've ever experienced a panic attack, but it's one of the most uncomfortable physical like feelings I've ever experienced. And I think that the thing about me is like my anxiety has never manifested in like me being in bed or depressed for long periods of time. It's actually manifested in like how can I do more? How can I
Mm.
kind of use this anxiety like in a positive way, kind of like I've just always wanted a lot for myself and always kind of expected a lot for myself, which has obviously had consequences, you know, in terms of my mental health. But it's also something that has enabled me to be where I am today. And it's very contradictory. And I struggle with it sometimes because now that
Mm.
I'm medicated and not having panic attacks and not anxious to an extent, I don't feel that like constant, oh my god, you have to do the next thing, you have to go do this thing. Like I'm able to relax more and just breathe a little bit more. But I would definitely say that my anxiety kind of forced me to be where I am today in this very strange, weird way.
No, I can relate to that so hard. I'm going to share something I haven't
Yeah.
shared. I'm currently in therapy right now to deal with my anxiety driving. Yeah,
Oh my
that what's
gosh.
next, what's next, what's next.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And
And
yes.
if you're not growing, you're failing, and I've got to do. And whenever I feel overwhelmed, and
Hmm.
even when I have a lull in my life
Hmm.
where it's like everything seems okay, I want to fill it with
Same.
something else.
Same. And I also will say that like I don't ever sit down and think, huh, I'm doing great. Like this is cool. Like you can say all those nice things, but I'm constantly comparing myself to other people on
Mhm.
social media. I'm constantly saying to myself, I have such a big team. Like I should be doing this by myself. Like a lot of content creators don't share that they have a team. That my team is quite literally has to be like part of the videos because we produce them. It takes a lot of people to produce them. So it's not like an HGTV show where people are working behind the scenes and the host is kind of like, oh, yeah, I'm painting this whole wall myself. People are involved in the videos. And it's funny because, like, there's been some shame that has come with that for me, you know, because I'm like, well, I should do it myself, or these people are doing
Th-
it themselves.
I
But
know how much work it is to manage people. Like, there is no shame. You're a girl boss, and that's incredible. And you can do so much more. My anxiety stops me from hiring more people because I always feel like this is all going to come crashing down at any
yes,
moment. And I don't want to take anyone with me. So I don't want to hire somebody because what if I can't pay them? And then
yes,
they're dependent on me. And what if this
yes,
all goes under? And what if because I'm such a piece of crap. Like my anxiety is like, you've
yes.
had luck. You're so lucky. You're so
Mhm.
lucky. And it's going to end at any moment. You better keep hustling and running and go into the next thing because, yeah,
I
it's all going to
understand
come.
that feeling and that thought process so much. And it's so interesting because almost everyone I talk to who has a small business or who has one employee or no employees, that's the number one question I get is like, how do you employ people? Like, how do you do that? And I um I I early on received a really amazing opportunity from Shopify. I produced a whole other YouTube channel for them and hosted it, and that money I immediately poured into my business. And I've always at the beginning stages I always viewed any success or brand deal or whatever I landed, I was like, okay, I'm going to pour this into the company. I'm going to pay myself as little as possible and I'm going to hire people who are better than me and hire people who have strengths that I don't. Like my company could literally not function without my COO Amanda. Like she puts everything in my calendar. She plans our shoots. She has that film background. She also went to business school. Like she is good at all the things that I'm not. And
Mm.
hiring her was a huge leap for me. Like she was well into her career. I knew what her salary was going to be. But I also have always viewed if you hire well and you hire someone who is better at something than you are, they're going to make you money. Like it's going to help you grow your company. And so that's how I've kind of
Mhm.
always viewed those things. Doesn't mean I
And
wasn't
it's,
scared shitless to do that, to do those hires, but I I've always understood my goal and I've always broken down that goal into like, okay, well how are you going to make this happen? And I'm still like not the I don't make as much money as a lot of the people on my team. Like I'm still underpaid for probably yeah, I'm not paid as much as my other employees, but that's because I'm trying to build something and get to a
and that's,
point.
yeah, that's what
Yeah,
every financial expert will say to do. That's what I mean, Amazon didn't turn a profit for 30 years, okay?
exactly.
Because everything they made, they reinvested in their business. I have a real fear with doing that because what if next year my business crashes and then I have nothing? So it's keeping me small.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
as brave as you, and I feel
Thanks.
like you are the interview I needed. I feel bad for everyone listening at home because I feel like this is the therapy I need
Oh,
to go to the next level because I'm letting my fear and anxiety of failure,
yeah.
and I tell everybody not to do this, but I'm also doing this to not be a risk taker. The only thing I risk maybe is my own personal like failure, like I suck and people think, ha ha ha, you're bad.
Yeah.
I'm okay with risking that, but I'm not okay with risking like anything above and beyond that. But no risk, no reward, right?
Yeah.
And you you don't say you're confident, but you're brave and
But it's
confident
it's so
and
interesting because it's so interesting because something I've been working through a lot in therapy is I I am so sure of it's all going to work out and it's all going to be okay when it comes to my career. But yet like personally there's also I'm not brave personally. There's so many things that I am really not um as brave and confident in as I am in my career. So I kind of think that I think when I do these interviews and when I get these questions, it's like yes, but also, like
yes.
I might be good at in this area, but I'm not great in this area. And if I have any advice for anyone, it's hire people who are better at something than you are and who have different strengths than you because that truly is what has gotten me this far. It's come with a lot of like ego checks on my part and being like, okay, like this person's way better at this thing than you are, and that's okay. Like I struggle with that almost daily and checking in like, am I good enough? Am I doing a good enough job? Am I like it's hard for me sometimes to believe that I'm the owner of this company and that actually I run the show. Like I have to really
Mm.
psych myself up for that. So all the things you're feeling are like totally normal, and anyone that's listening. And I don't have it all together. Like it's that's not what I want people to think at all, but I have taken risks, and I believe in myself enough in this aspect of my life to take those risks for sure.
I love that. Not everybody listening is going to be an entrepreneur, and not everybody listening is going to like run this whole business. But I hope they're feeling inspired listening to you or watching you if they're watching it on YouTube to really go all in
Yeah.
some area of their life.
Yes.
What do you love? And can you jump in and figure it out as you're swimming?
Yes. That's so beautifully
Yeah.
said. And also to just start, like to make that jump. And if you look at my content 5 years ago, it's so embarrassing. It's not great.
Oh my,
Um,
mine's still embarrassing now. I look at yours and I'm like, oh my
and
God, it's so
in five
good.
years from now, hopefully I'll be looking at this content that I'm producing. And be like, that's so embarrassing. But that's the way you grow. And I think a lot of people don't realize that content creators have to start somewhere. Like you have to start, or business owners, you have to
Mhm.
start somewhere, put out a product that's not great, and eventually it'll evolve to being something greater and bigger.
And that's how I feel about like a lot of people listen to me because they want to get their home under control. It's
Yeah.
the message is the same for every single area of your life. If you're living in clutter and chaos and you're like, my house is horrible and I am embarrassed about it, you just get started and
Exactly.
you organize with shoe boxes to start and
Exactly.
you decorate your house with what you have or thrift store finds or you know, a chair you find on the side of the road. And if you keep making it a priority because you know that you love this and you deserve this and this makes you happy, you will keep leveling up that aspect of your life. But everybody has passions in different areas. And have you always been really passionate about interior design and creativity?
Not interior design specifically. Well, kind of. Like when I was little, I loved to go to IKEA and look at all the displays. And my surroundings were really a way for me to feel like in control, even as a little kid. Like
Mm.
my surroundings have always been important to me in that sense, but I never grew up thinking I want to go into interior design specifically. But it combines all the things that I love to do. Like I love photography, I love creative writing. Like those were the things I was really interested in at Chatelaine. I loved like pulling product to and curating, a mood board for our shoots. I loved being in the studio, putting all those products like just so. So it makes sense why I do what I do now. And yeah, home decor for me like really kind of came from this place of how do I make myself feel the best that I can feel wherever I'm living and having like control over that aspect of my life.
Let's talk back about I want to just share something else about the therapy thing
Yeah.
for a second cuz this I'm seeing a new therapist lately and I was diagnosed with ADHD 4 years ago, which I was like, "Oh, this makes so much sense." Like I'm always looking for that dopamine rush in my life. I've been chaotic my entire life and I've really embraced that chaos like, "Oh, I'm just a disaster. I'm a flighty
Yeah.
mess. Blah blah blah. I'm going to do something exciting in the whole world. Jump
Yeah.
in, jump in." I crazy. And now that I'm seeing this new therapist, he's like, yeah, some of that might be ADHD, but a lot of that is anxiety.
Yes.
A lot of that is this anxious
Yes.
energy that looks like hyperactive ADHD, but that anxiety is causing that hyper. And what happens if we remove that? What happens if we get calmer and we're not as anxious and not as anxiety? And you know what my brain says, Alexandra? The whole thing crashes down
Yeah.
because that is why I'm having any semblance of success because I'm nuts and I'm
Yes.
just like, I better
Yes.
do, better do, better do, better do, better do. And I'm not confident that I'll still be able to self motivate without that kind of layer of anxiety, that underlying anxiety. So, can we go back to that for you? Because you said that you're kind of getting that, you're on medication now.
Yeah.
Are you getting control of that that nervous energy. I guess that's how, is that how you would describe it as well?
Yeah.
That nervous
Yes.
energy.
And at the beginning of starting to take medication, I was really worried that I was going to lose that drive. Like I was like,
Mm.
well, actually, is this beneficial because I'm so driven? I was such a like I got such good grades in school. I never did anything like quote unquote bad. And because I had anxiety, like I was paralyzed by my anxiety. But my anxiety and my panic reached a point where I was like, I actually don't have a choice. Like I'm not even thriving in this situation. Like it's not benefiting me in any way. It's actually hindering me. And interestingly enough, when I started taking medication, that's kind of when I went out on my own and like all these opportunities that came up for me, I never would have been able to do those, I don't think, unless I was medicated. So, like doing a TED talk, doing like interviews in front of people, like going on television, those things probably wouldn't have been possible. And I guess to answer your question, it's a really interesting one. And I actually think about this often. I think I'm trying to settle into a place of trusting myself more and knowing that even though I'm less like, okay, gotta do this, gotta do this. Like I kind of like care less, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Like it's like I don't I obviously there I care, but I care less about being the best of the best of the best. And it's really freeing, to be honest, because it kind of allows
Mhm.
me to actually put out a ton of content, try new things, like do things that maybe I wouldn't have done before. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does, and I'm
Okay.
so glad you said that because I'm really embracing this whole I've always been like not a perfectionist, but what I thought it was my anxiety maybe that was propelling me forward, but now it's like maybe my all the ways that I'm just like, "Ah, it's okay. It's good enough. Do it kind
Yeah.
of shitty. Just make sure you do it and then
Yes.
try." That's really I think the underlying success,
Yes.
not my anxiety.
And I
I can
think, yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
yeah, no, go, yeah. Let's just tell people listening to do things shitty.
Exactly. But I also think like that trusting myself piece was really important too. Like my anxiety didn't cause me to be driven. Like my anxiety didn't it maybe propelled that drive a little more than someone who doesn't have anxiety, but I'm still a driven person. I'm still someone who wants to achieve. I'm still someone who has these big dreams and aspirations. So that hasn't left. And it's just made it so it's more enjoyable. Like when I'm on vacation, I don't feel like I have to be working every single day. But
Mm.
I write things down and I allow myself to brainstorm and still like do things. But yeah, the anxiety being like a little bit more under control has just allowed me to do so many amazing things that look easy, but they wouldn't have been easy without that help.
I love this. Okay, I'm going to go back to interior design and we're going
Yeah.
to talk more about your book. And I'm
Let's.
very
Yeah.
excited on it. And seriously, please, everybody go right now, subscribe to your YouTube channel. But I'm wondering if you have a secret. Like I will share my secret for getting up and getting stuff done because I know a lot of people listening, there is a block there. They have
Yeah.
big dreams and goals for themselves too, but there's something going on where they're just not being able to get past it and get up and take action. And
Yes.
for me, my secret most definitely is every day I write myself a to-do list, and the things on the to-do list are small.
Yes.
So I'm not going to say like film an entire freaking YouTube video and edit today.
Hmm.
Today is I'm going to just set up cameras and talk, right? Like that's what I'm doing today. Or I'm just going, if it's a home task, it's something, it's not like clean my whole house
Yes.
today. It's I'm going to clean the kitchen today.
Yes.
And that little steps, but writing it down and kind of giving myself a goalpost that I have to meet at by the time I go to bed has propelled me forward. And I'm wondering if you have like a little tip of something that someone can incorporate in their life too to help get them. We only live one life, Alexandra. We live one freaking life,
Yeah.
man. And
Yeah,
let's be proud of it.
totally. And I think that can totally apply to home decor and my viewers too. I know a lot of people are like, well, I want to buy this rug and then I want to buy a sofa and I have these big dreams and aspirations for my space. And so my book, the kind of goal was to break it down from the planning section to like the doing section to the living section. And I really my whole brand has always been, not even my brand, my kind of view of home decor has always been that sometimes like it's the smallest things that that have a really big impact. So painting your walls white, like moving into a rental and
Mm.
just painting your walls white, doing that one thing can make your space feel fresher and brighter and more like yours. Or painting an accent wall or getting a new vase. Like all of these tiny things can make us feel better in our spaces. Scent is huge for me, like buying a candle or making your own diffuser blend, or like these small things can have such a big impact. And so I always try to promote, just like you said, writing a list and starting small, starting with a mood board, starting with a paint color and committing to something. And just like we were talking about people being scared to start, their lives, people are also really scared to make decisions and to regret those decisions. And
Mhm.
I've always just said, like, guys, it's just paint. Like, it's paint.
Just
Paint over it. You can sell your sofa if you hate it in 5 years. But for me, like just buying trendy things or things that I feel are timeless has never worked for me, because I'm like, well, okay, the sofa is neutral and that's okay. But I wanted a pink sofa. Like I want a pink sofa in my space. And there's so many just like companies out there that can help you hack your furniture and not feel like buying, a rug is going to dictate how your space is going to look for the next 20 years. So, yeah, I really encourage people to have fun with it and not be so nervous about making a mistake.
And listen, listeners, listen. Don't wait until you've decluttered and
Yeah.
organized and tidied. You don't have to put off making a space beautiful until you have the money or the time or everything's just right and the stars align and now to do it. I think there is power in pretty. And I've talked about this before, but making your dining room table pretty some way, getting a centerpiece or painting
Hmm.
it or getting a new one, you're going to keep that dining room tidier. You're going to be inspired to go a little bit further. So don't be afraid to start with a little home decor. Paint your walls. You paint your walls, you're going to want to declutter the floor and you're going to
Exactly.
want to go to the next level. There is power in making a space pretty,
Yes.
not just power in motivating you and getting it clean and tidy, but power every day. So I just recently redid my bedroom and I put these bright, crazy curtains in. Everybody hated them and they said they're horrible. And everyone's like, what are you doing, Kath?
Don't
They're
you
so
love that when
colorful.
you're so happy with something and then the internet has other ideas?
Yep. Yep.
And you're
And
like,
my
well, I
husband,
still like
everybody had
them.
other ideas. They're like, that looks horrible. Let me tell you this. I wake up every morning, I look at those curtains and I'm like, "Ah, I love those freaking curtains."
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single morning, I wake up with like this little jolt of happy.
Totally. And that's like not every, but most corners of my home, I'm like, ooh, that little lamp makes me so happy. And that picture above my bed makes me so happy. And like I said, like I understand that I have a kind of a weird job where I'm very fortunate to, like, home decor is my job. So I feel like
Mm.
I have an abundance of, I can experiment. It is a process for me. I can switch things out. I understand that that's not everyone's life, and maybe someone can't afford to deck their house out entirely at once, and that's not the expectation. The expectation is starting small, and even a lamp or like a paint color on the wall, like we were saying, or a new throw pillow, like those things can have a really big impact. Just like I would imagine organizing that junk drawer, that like every time you open it
Mm.
you're like, it's annoying, like every time you open it, you're like, there's stuff falling out. I can't, and it becomes
Yeah.
this task
But
of
then
like,
when you when you organize it,
You're
every
like,
time you
yes,
open it, you're like, "Look what I did." You're
exactly.
proud. You
Exactly.
feel good about yourself, and that's the real power here. Every time we do a little thing that we're like, "I feel good," our confidence grows. Our trust in
Exactly.
ourself grows, our
Exactly.
self-love grows, and we're reminded of that every time we look at the beautiful space every single freaking day. So it's
Exactly.
hard in the beginning. I don't know if you've ever I know you organized your whole house with the home edit line
It was
last
very
year.
fun. Yeah.
That was so fun. Have you ever struggled with excess clutter and mess? Probably not, because your little anxiety head is like
Yeah.
everything.
Well, when I moved in with my partner Noah, like I don't have uh we're very opposite is what I'm going to say when it comes to organization. I like everything just
Okay,
so, and he's
got it.
like, "Oh, pile over here." Like he just doesn't it doesn't clutter doesn't bother him in the way it bothers me. But yeah, I've definitely experienced like I feel like sometimes, oh, we have so much stuff. Like we just have so much stuff and we have an excess of stuff. And so I would say like every season to just declutter and like take stock of what I have and what I haven't used. And a lot of excessive stuff for me, it just drives me nuts. It makes me feel
I
like
love
so
that.
disorganized and cluttered in my mind. Yeah.
But you you declutter on a regular basis. And I think that's the secret. Growing up, right? We were taught you have to vacuum and you have to do your dishes and you have to put away your laundry. But nobody ever said, hey, man, you also have to get rid of stuff on a regular basis,
Yeah.
because if you don't, you will be
Yeah.
completely overwhelmed and have way too much stuff. And because this isn't something that's been taught, and it does go against human nature because we are hunter and gatherers, giving away feels kind of wrong. I
Yes.
think a lot of people allow their anxiety and fear and those natural tendencies to hoard, because at our core, that is human nature to hoard. That's what safety and security looks like. We end up with spaces that make us really miserable because we're not like cavemen and there's a Target around the corner. Not for us Canadians, but you know what I'm saying. There's an
Yes.
IKEA.
Yes.
And we're just constantly bringing things in. If we're not getting things out at the same rate, we can be drowning. So I'm a big component of like declutter, declutter, but also make your space beautiful. And there's something really incredible about little DIY projects, little projects, whether it is decluttering a drawer or painting a chair or
Yeah.
painting a wall or
Yeah.
recovering something in fabric is so easy. I
Totally.
just discovered how easy this is, that can transform not only your space, but your confidence and your whole life, really.
Definitely. And when I organized last year using those home edit bins, I didn't, even though I'd heard it 1,000,000,000 times, I didn't realize like the power of giving something a home. And so
Mm.
now I feel like it's been almost a year since I did that organization project. And I feel like everything's kind of stayed like pretty organized because everything has a place. And I'll have to go through sometimes and when the bin gets full, like declutter it a bit, but I just know where everything goes and that's really helpful. I wanted to ask you a question though about organizing. Do you think that people have like for okay, I would say I'm pretty organized, my home's pretty organized, but there's certain things and I can let things go very easily. Like I'm like, we don't need this. We're never going to use this. You know, I'm not very sentimental. But do you think that people are sentimental about like at least one category of thing? Because for me, it's like old letters that I've kept or cards. Like I can't
Oh,
give that stuff away. And I would say that's like the one area that I'm so not organized in. I have these 5 plastic bins at my parents' house in their basement, just like piled high of paper and like notebooks that I just can't give away. So do you have any advice for like I don't sorry, I'm asking you the questions, but do you have any
no, I
advice
love this.
for or is it just something that's like okay, if it is organized within a bin, like keep it. It's not really serving me, you know? It's not I don't go and open those boxes hardly ever. I don't think I have in
Yeah.
years.
So here's what I'm going to say. Yes, you are sentimental when it comes to written things. And that's everybody does have like one area of their life where they're sometimes it's photos, sometimes it's home decor, whatever it is that they're really like children's items. If they've been a
Yes.
mom, get really
Yes.
sentimentally attached to those. So I think there's two things going on. One, you're doing a great job because you've given it a home. But two, you've told yourself you can't get rid of anything that's special that's written. My suggestion would be for you to limit yourself to 3 big totes and
Got it.
just look.
Got it.
Like, take a weekend, open those up, go through the memories, like, look at them and be like, oh, this is beautiful. Because I guarantee 50% of that isn't really worthy of the tote.
Got
It
it.
just at the time
That's a
it
great
felt
tip.
like it was.
Yeah.
It's just you haven't gone back and revisited those memories. And here's why it's beautiful. You actually get to experience and relive all those beautiful things while going through it, which you're missing out on right now because you're just leaving them collecting dust at your parents. So relive those, and you can streamline and create yourself a cultivated collection of the best, but keep it in a tote. I call them memory totes. And I think 3 is a great amount for somebody like you who has like one specific thing. But someday you're going to get married. You may have children. You may not. And I'm not judging, but you are young, man. You have a lifetime worth of memories.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to burden yourself with 25 totes of
Right.
written memories.
Right.
So if you could every season, every fall and every spring, go through those and create a cultivated collection. It's just called them memory days,
That's
memory
fantastic.
making
I
moment
love that.
days.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's I've something I've been that's been like in the back of my mind. But you're right. It's like I'm not even experiencing those memories because they're sitting in bins. Like I'm and I sometimes think like why like what day am I waiting for? To open those up
Mm.
and so yeah. Okay, thanks for that advice. That's great.
Yeah, and once you do that, you're like, this one's worthy of keeping. This
Yeah.
one, not so much. It'll
Yeah.
feel a lot easier. You just haven't made time for it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Okay, this has been amazing. I'm feeling so inspired. I got to hire more people. I want to jump in. I
You
want to live
too.
my life
Yeah.
more like you. I'm so impressed. Please tell everyone where they can find your new book, which I am like right now going to go get, and how
Thank
they can
you.
follow you and check out your incredible YouTube videos.
Yeah, so I'm at Alexandra Gator on YouTube, on Instagram, Pinterest, on TikTok, and my book is available pretty much where every book is sold. But Amazon is a really easy place to grab it. I think in the States like Barnes and Noble, in Canada, Indigo. Yeah, thank you so much for all of your kind words and your support. It means so much.
I'm really impressed
Thank
by
you,
just the
Cass.
way you live your life, and you just jump in and make your passion also your career while also helping others and running this incredible business. And you're so brave. You're
Thank
so
you.
brave, and we could all learn to be a little bit more like you.
Gives me so much chills that I'm gonna start saying that. That's gonna be my new 2024 affirmation. It's just brave. So thank you for saying that. It means so much to me.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you, everyone listening at home. I hope you're feeling inspired today to make one space beautiful, whether it's a drawer or a shelf or paint a wall white. It will change your life, just saying. And we'll see you guys next time.